news.
Welcome, everyone. It's good to see everyone again for the first, time in a few weeks. As folks know that follow this channel, I typically do one of these once a month. I do it at the beginning of the month as early as possible, mainly to get an update, give an update to folks, and answer questions and whatnot. So, not like a huge agenda today. I did a ton of pre-work on episodes and things like that. So I believe I've done enough interviews to fill April. So I haven't processed all those interviews. I'm only about, 4 interviews ahead. And I think I have to have 9 for the month. So I still have to process a bunch more. So at least, we've already had one. Yeah, so I have to process 4 more interviews. And then one of those interviews is today, and then there's 4 coming that have already been processed, I believe. Something like that. So, all right, let's see what folks are. Richard, welcome. Greetings from Alaska. I think Putin wants it back. Good luck to Putin. Not that he'd have a chance, but anyway, it's just kind of usual weird stuff. Okay, so where are we with channel news? Not much to add, just still doing the radio show. The last number was, I didn't get the Easter numbers, so I still don't know how I did last week, but it was Easter, so I wouldn't imagine it would be, really, amazing because it's Easter. But the week before that, I think it was at 92,000, combined listeners on all variety of platforms. So that's more than my general site, but it kind of is what it is. Other than that, I don't think I have too much news on the channel to process. So let's see. Tessa, always good to see you. Welcome. Okay, so upcoming episodes. All right, I have a ton of stuff on this. So, and I think this is the stuff that you guys like. So, without further ado, yeah, I think that's probably the right. No, I don't like that. I don't like that. That looks weird. That's better. That looks weird. It's not even working. All right, I'm just going to go with that because that's just going to have to be such as it is. Or I can just do that. However, I really do not like just to fix one thing and then we can move on. Okay. All right. So, the first episode, this should be hitting on Monday, which is the solar eclipse, solar convergence, whatever you want to call it. Okay. A number of weird things with that. But anyway, I've been trying to get Peter on my podcast for quite some time. I really like his Sinister Forces books. He also co-wrote Secret Machines with Tom DeLonge. He wrote a book called Unholy Alliance. It's on kind of the Germany, World War II Germany, and the occult. I'm not going to say the Yahtzee word for obvious reasons, but it's a pretty good interview, and it dovetails with a lot of kind of the common themes that have been coming up, right? So, as an example, April 8th, 2024 is the 120th anniversary of when Aleister Crowley received the first chapter of the Book of the Law from Aiwass, this entity. So it's kind of this creepy 120-year anniversary, and apparently 120 years is a Rosicrucian concept. Every 120 years, it's supposed to be death to renewal. So, take it with a grain of salt, but it's interesting. It's also, it was a good overview of how, kind of political witchcraft in America and how America is haunted, given all the societies and ancient societies that we don't even know, we don't know, that have lived here, and the strange threads of history, strange coincidences that don't seem to be quite coincidences. We also find out when Peter Levenda, apparently in 1979, went to Chile when Augusto Pinochet was in charge, and there were still post-war German elites living there with weird cults that were untouchable and weird ties in with our own intelligence community. It's good. There's a lot of crazy stuff in this one. So definitely do not miss. And let me see, what else do we got? Oh yeah, I'm just going to address this really quick. Oh yeah. Grant told me that on one of my interviews with him like 6 months ago. So that's old news. Uh, yes. Well, I'm just going to read it for folks who are listening. So Grant Cameron told Vetted Podcast that Lou and Mellon backed out of a Canadian interview because Canada wanted a scientific approach, but Lou and Mellon wanted a threat approach. Well, no, they're just is Lou a doomer? No, they're just military, military intelligence professionals. So everything that they see is a threat, right? That's their job. So the first filter for everything is going to be threat based. It's just a different approach. But I'm actually, as I go through this list, there's been a development on this apparently, but I was going to have Grant Cameron on my radio show this weekend, but we pushed it to next weekend because he's going to have an update on this, presumably, or he hopes to have an update on this sort of situation. So we'll see how that goes. Let's see. yeah, that Crawley thing is the same day. It's kind of weird. Okay. All right. Then we return to James Clarkson. I don't like to put guests back to back just because I'd like to kind of switch things up a little bit, and I think it just does better if you don't want to inundate somebody with one guest constantly. So this is a an interesting interview. James Clarkson was given all the historical artifacts, kind of check stub or not check stubs, but like pay stubs, um, and just evidence that this woman, her name was June Crane, worked in at Wright Patterson. I think it was initially maybe Patterson Airfield or Wright Patterson Airfield before it became the Air Force. It was the Army Air Corps, and she has pay stubs kind of going all the way back to 1943, all the way up to either 1952, 53 that she worked at Wright Pat Air Force Base. And she was a clerk, but she was also in charge of managing like 10 safes in a essentially a skiff or the precursor to a skiff. And there were a lot of people who came back from crash retrievals. I think she had been a witness in the sense that people had confided in her about at least 3 crash retrievals that they'd seen. Roswell was one of them. Aztec and maybe Kingman were the others. But there's lots of stories related to that, and it's just more evidence that something did indeed actually happen at Roswell. So it's a really interesting interview. Clarkson is a detective, as you know. He did really, really good and deep work on that problem. And then we head back to Dr. Greenfield, where he talks a little bit about on the writing of the real secrets of the real Black Lodge and his own experience with that organization or that entity in his past when he was younger. And it's creepy. There's some like Charles Manson vibes. There's all sorts of wild stuff. So, do not miss that one. It's pretty good. All right, then we return back to Peter Lavenda, and it's more of an open discussion between him and I about what secret is so dark that the U.S. military would try to kind of keep this thing under the rug for as long as it is. I'm definitely more negative about it. Peter's not. He's pretty positive, but he also talks about some creepy Men in Black experience, or one that he had in Rhode Island back in the early 90s, and then kind of a recurrence of it. So definitely do not miss this. It's definitely pretty interesting. Okay, let's see. Oh yeah, June Crane. Yep. Yeah, she's very credible. He's a good dude. If folks haven't seen Hellier yet on Amazon, I don't know if he's on Hellier or if he's on the sequel to Hellier, but I think that's where I first learned about him, and then I was able to get a hold of him through several different sources. So he's a great dude. All right, and then I kind of went back to Stephen Mira to talk about Sumerian demonology. It just to learn a little bit more, and we talked a little bit about dogmen, which are related to that, and just delved a little bit deeper into the topic. So I'm still editing this one, or at least I just started editing this one. So this will be a little bit later in the month. I just did this one today. I haven't edited it, but Paul Blake Smith is, I think, a Missouri native, and he did extensive research on the Cape Girardeau crash, which was pre-Roswell, so in April 1941. And, it's well researched. It's an interesting topic. And then there's going to be another episode that we do. I just haven't done the thumbnail yet, or that we did. I haven't done the thumbnail yet, about the agreement or the history of the visit at Edwards Air Force Base to Eisenhower and non-human intelligences. So that one's pretty interesting too. We also go over the Nixon and Jackie Gleason case. There's some Lyndon B. Johnson involved, so it's going to be like a president an NHI episode. So not this one, but the one that I don't have a thumbnail for. Volume is low. I'm probably just, let's see. I should be able to fix relatively quick. Give me a moment. Okay, how's that? That should be probably super loud. Um, okay. Yeah, there's. All right, good, good. I was also mumbling, I think. Okay. And then speaking of Nathaniel Gillis, I had to postpone with him, but I'm still, meeting with him on April 9th, so it's still happening. It's just he had a conflict at the last minute. All right, and then this one's strange. um, so apparently these things really are whatever they would call interdimensional, whatever that means, right? It's not necessarily they're coming from the stars, they're coming from somewhere else. But there are actually two different ways that you can mechanically reach out to them. And we discuss that. We go there. One's the quick way, and that's just like materializing in front of, into the Oval Office. And, that quick way is, kind of the way that could get you killed. And then there's the slow, methodical way, which is a little bit safer. It's probably not entirely safe, but there are kind of two ways to call or invoke the phenomenon, apparently, that have been scientifically verified. Other than just having nuclear materials, which I strongly advise people not to have. But that's kind of interesting. And I kind of went there. I kind of felt like, should I ask this? And I'm just like, screw it. I'll just ask. So, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think as above, so below. Okay. All right. So that's kind of the pre recorded episodes. And then I think I have 4 on the calendar right now for the radio show. So Don Ecker appeared to be pretty popular. So he's been on Larry King Live like 3 times or 2 times or something like that. So he's radio ready. No issues there. But he's going to be next weekend. We're going to talk about UFO disclosure. So I'm hoping for a pretty good rant. And we talked a little bit about this. Grant is going to come back on April 14th to talk about the I don't know if it's Bob McGuire or Larry McGuire. I forget. There's a member of Parliament in Canada. They're trying to do their own disclosure thing. So I think that thing's is warming up again, whatever that might mean. And then I'm going to have Dr. Thigpen back on. He's always super interesting. So, he'll be on, I think, on the 21st. And, I just enjoy, he's a really good dude. I really appreciate it. Apparently, I just saw before I got on that he was on with Burchett on, why am I not remembering his name? On Ross Coulthart's show. So, Dr. Thigpen's starting to make the rounds finally. I think he's a hidden gem. And then Josh was going to come back on. I got to stop. We're going to talk about death and the phenomena and how there are links between the living and the dead, which will be we haven't discussed that on the regular channel, so it's going to be an entirely new topic. Usually I like to, on the radio show, interview guests about topics that I already spoke to them about, so it goes a little bit smoother, and I don't have to do any editing, so I can move it along a little bit faster. But this one's going to be, I know Josh will do fine, but it's just a topic I haven't talked to him about. So I think that's all she wrote. That is all she wrote. All right. So I think last time we talked about potential conflict with China. And then Taiwan had an earthquake today. So I don't know what that means. I mean, it certainly means they're more vulnerable, but I don't know. It doesn't look like the Chinese have mobilized in any way. So maybe China will sit this one out. Let's hope. Let's hope. But this is the right time of year for it, for sure. Either now or May, April. I got something on my shirt here that's like not coming off, and I don't know why. Okay, there we go. So that's all I got. I don't really have anything else. I think we can just kind of go straight into Q&A. I mean, I don't know if there's a lot that's happened recently, but I kind of had like a gangbusters March, and then April was, well, not April, sorry, gangbusters February, but April was a little tepid. But I mean, we're still growing, but I kind of wish we'd grow a little bit faster. But it is what it is, I guess. All right, what do we got? Ah! Yeah, of course. I mean, I think most of this is a Q&A. It's today I have like a billion things going on this week, so I didn't prepare as much as, I mean, I prepared all the thumbnails for future episodes, but I kind of had a lot of them already done, so that wasn't too much. And I didn't invoke all my cameras and all that stuff because I just didn't have time. I'm in the middle of like 17 different things, so I don't think people care about that anyway, so it's not a big deal. Not that not on purpose. Not on purpose. But I think I accidentally did once. And I didn't. There was somebody in my past who did something so evil and ruinous to me that I still like hate them with a burning passion today. And it was done about 2 years ago. So, and this is just a way to dissipate my rage. But we had some flies in the house. So, again, I'm just speculating. I'm just relating facts here. I don't know what the cause was or why, but I kind of stopped doing what I was doing. So, anytime there would be a fly, I know how to kill a fly with my bare hand, right? They always fly upward, so you just put your hand above them and smack down. Well, every time I would go to kill a fly, I would think about this person, and I would hit the thing so hard that like tables would shake and all that stuff. Just like focused rage. And then I got more flies. And I kept doing it, and I got more flies, and more flies, and more flies, and more flies. And I kind of said, there's something weird. There's something weird about this. So I just stopped killing insects, stopped killing, there was just something dark about it. And I don't know what it was. It could just be a coincidence. Could be, but we don't have flies now. So I don't know. That's the closest I would say that unintentionally I may have invoked something, but that's about it. Oh yeah. No, I don't even know who Howdy McCoskey is. Yeah. Oh wow. Also, yes, that's November 1st, right? Yeah, yeah. It's dark. It's pretty dark. But I didn't like I said, I didn't realize what I was doing. But again, I don't know. I don't know if anything happened to the person on the other side of it. That wasn't the intent. The intent was just to like dissipate those intense feelings of pure hate and rage. I still have them, by the way, but I just, who knows? I don't know if there was any. It wasn't the intent. The intent was just to like get it out of my system. But I don't know. Maybe they broke a leg or something. I don't know. Um, yeah. I don't know if it's that simple, but I think on one of the episodes, like the last episode that I recorded with Steve Mira, we get into kind of some of that because he's run a ton of highly scientific experiments and he's come to some, I don't want to say firm conclusions, but he has some pretty conclusive findings about the nature of reality. And he gets calls by this group that is affiliated with the intelligence community, and they always ask him kind of weird questions like, "Have you worked for MI5 before?" They'll ask questions like, "Have you talked to Kit Green before?" And his answers are kind of, or is there just no, no, we haven't. So he's gotten pretty close based on these. So he's actually been holding back the results of some of these experiments and is just waiting for this sclerotic disclosure process to proceed. And then when he sees certain milestones, then he'll come out and announce some of the results. But I don't know if what we're seeing is necessarily from, you know, up there. It might be coming from just elsewhere through portals, wormholes, whatever. And I don't think we have a good model of reality to explain how all this stuff works. Um, but the conclusions that he's coming to would be consistent with what Luis Elizondo was saying when he said, when people learn about the nature of reality, the reaction would be somber. And I think that's kind of uh, and it's questions over free will, predestination, all that sort of stuff. So I don't, yeah. So, and there's just a lot of weird stuff that our government, our intelligence community knows full well, right? So apparently they planted a Masonic flag on the moon before they planted an American flag because they wanted to render homage to these NHIs who help people by giving them ideas. And apparently we probably would not have gotten to the moon without downloads by whatever these entities are. So there's some creepy stuff, but again, I have nothing that's direct, right? It just, everything that happens to me is very subtle if it happens to me at all, right? Oops. Yeah, I started just letting them land on me, and then I would just take them outside and let them fly away to just avoid killing them because it was a weird. Yeah, yeah. Reality, I think, is stranger than we think. Hey, Mark G, good to see you again. I don't know about Luge. That concept comes from Robert Monroe, who founded the Monroe Institute. I don't know if it's something like that. It could just be. I think the most disappointing possibility is that we just live in a simulation and these are just agents of the simulation. I hope it's not that, but it could be something like that. But I don't think that's where Mira is coming at this from. I think that's just that could be one way to explain it because whatever these things are, they're you know they know what the future is. They can predict the future. They kind of know what we're gonna do far into the future, like just weird stuff like that. No, say more. What I've heard that term before, but what is it? And I'll just put QHHT in your response, so I'm not confused when I see it. So I think there's a delay between when you guys post and when I actually see the answer. Yeah, they do really good work for sure. Oh, interesting. If he'll respond to me, yeah, 100%. I need to reach out to him again, but like he doesn't. I'm just not that big. I'm not like that big of a channel. So I'd love to have him on because I think we agree on a lot of stuff. But I'll keep trying. Yes. But I think I think it's just God is everything, right? Literally. So, but I try to maintain the Catholic conception that I grew up with just to protect myself from the downside. But yeah, I believe there's something beyond the physical, 100%. Yeah, yeah. If you watch my Tom Campbell episode, that's exactly what he would tell you, or almost exactly what he would tell you. Yeah, NASA always scripts that stuff. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, never done QHHT. Um, but I don't have any like discrete events that would really dictate that I do it, if that makes any sense. Um, like I haven't, I don't have any abduction memories or any weird stuff like that, right? The closest maybe is like a weird dream I had, recurring dream I had when I was a kid, but um, it was like a prosaic dream that I would wake up terrified, that sort of thing. Uh, I don't think so. I don't think. I think this whole thing is probably slow because it's just so bureaucratic. I think the slowness of this whole thing is more mundane than you may think, right? But it's definitely moving in the same direction. Like if you look at Grush's public testimony and compare it with Kirkpatrick's Arrow report, they're actually not in conflict. If you parse them carefully, they're actually pretty complementary. Grush, talks about NHTs. Kirkpatrick doesn't say a word about NHTs. He talks about extraterrestrials and basically says that there's no firm evidence that they're extraterrestrial, which leads right back to Grush's comments about interdimensional, whatever that means. So there's something about the nature of reality that we don't quite understand, but they may be cohabiting the same physical space that we are, in some weird way. So I don't think there's any factions like that. I mean, there might be factions on how fast or slow should disclosure be, but I think that's about it. Oh yeah, that one's for Sooty. Huh. Interesting. I know. I'm getting bigger though. I got some good guests when I was like 300, like 300 subscribers. So just have to keep going. I mean, other than the Bledsoe stuff, where you just put a song in your head, but not much. Yeah, but some of us can't do controlled OB. I've been trying all my life. Can't do it. Just can't do it. Not consciously, at least. Have no idea how to do it. Tried it. I don't. My mind races a million miles an hour. It's hard for me to quiet my mind. Yeah, I think Pasolka is right. 100%. Yeah. I Again, I think that's why they planted a Masonic flag. Same reason. I don't even know about his new platform. What does he have, a YouTube page or something? Um, I kind of agree with them. I mean, we're they're just going to drip, 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 drip for a very, very long time. It could be 50 years, could be 100 years. I mean, I think it will eventually come, but we might not see it in our lifetime. But again, I don't know if the United States is going to last for our lifetime. I mean, this might be the last year. So, I think we're going to have more problems this year that we're going to have to face, that they're going to be so distracted they're not going to be able to get to it. Yeah, not that I know of. I don't practice it. I haven't been formally trained. So until I'm formally trained, I won't. Um, I don't really practice it. I mean, I've played around with it, and I've been sort of accurate, but I haven't done like the textbook, the exact way you're supposed to do it. Oh, I thought that was a fake. I thought that was somebody who just took his name and slapped it onto a. Because there's nothing there. It's like his YouTube channel. But it had like 1,300 subscribers without a single video. So yeah, until he actually does some, excuse my language, until he actually does some fucking work, I'm not gonna subscribe to a channel that didn't do any fucking work. So that's somebody who's like busted my ass on my own. So he's gotten far enough. And again, I have nothing against Lou Elizondo, but you know, I don't. People have notoriety and they cash kind of off notoriety, but they don't until they do the work. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna take a look at it. I'm not gonna watch it. No, I doubt it. I doubt it. I doubt he'll do a tell all. There's just too much jeopardy for him. If he says the wrong stuff, he could go to prison. So it's not great. I don't. I didn't even watch it. I just thought this looks like. I don't want to be judgy, but my BS meter just kind of went off a little bit. But again, I didn't spend any time seriously examining that case. So I don't want to just completely dismiss it because I could be completely wrong. But there's only certain things you can focus on, and that was like the Miami Mall thing and the Nevada, Las Vegas aliens. Like I'm just no, I don't believe it. Yeah, I think you're probably right. But again, I haven't spent much time on it. Yeah, there's probably some. There's always some truth. The most successful deceptions are mostly true. All right, what if folks like I kind of try to do like one Sasquatch interview, and I don't think it went to, like, I mean, I think the interview went fine, but I don't think the statistics indicated it wasn't great. So is that something folks just is that just the topic people want me just to not talk about that thing? Uh, because I think I lost more subscribers on that video than any other video I've ever done. I mean, not a lot, but it was still like net subscriber loss. Like I probably shouldn't mess with this topic unless one like Bigfoot taps me on the shoulder and I get like a video. So I don't know. All right, what else? Maybe, but I gotta I gotta put some distance between my last one and my if I ever do another one. I think you guys mentioned that I should interview Jerry Mazursky too. He's the mental health professional who believes schizophrenics are actually not schizophrenic. There's kind of something that's actually some entity that is messing with them. I interview him at the end of the month, so that should be pretty interesting. But we'll see. We'll see how it all goes. Well, I don't think you unsubscribed, Miss Tessa. So I thank you for that. But some people did, and it's like, because I mean, I thought Josh did really well. So I think it's probably too speculative of a topic for people to be uh, interested in, and I'm not. I don't know what to believe either way. You could convince me that it's complete hogwash. You could convince me that it's totally real. I don't know, but I think that the likelihood that it's an actual hominid is very low. I think it would be something beyond that. I also, if people know who Duncan Trussell is, I reached out to him, but as expected, no response. Sometimes you have to just throw something out there, you know, and see what happens. But nothing, nothing at all. Yeah, if it exists, I think that's probably what it is. But who knows? All I know is that motherfucker doesn't pay taxes, and we need to make Bigfoot pay. What else? What else is going on? Any crazy stuff going on in the world? We have Russia slowly edging forward in Ukraine. I know that because there's barely any news about them. Um, we have Russians in the Red Sea. Uh, yeah, yeah. And again, I'm going to have them on the radio. Again, we're just going to talk about something completely different. Um, what else are folks? Oh, I I don't think about an impending pole shift because if it happens, we're all going to die. So I can't. I can't. I just, if it happens, there's nothing I can do. So I don't even think about it. Oh, interesting. Um, yeah, I did my master's thesis on Iran's nuclear program, and my thesis advisor became Obama's Secretary of Defense. So um, they probably should have listened to me, but that was back in 2006. But yeah, it's a shame because Iran has the potential to be a regional hegemon in a positive way. Like they're otherwise a pretty stable, pretty well educated Middle Eastern country, but they keep supporting terrorism. So, you know, and the Mossad's going to do what the Mossad's going to do, but Iran kind of sponsoring Houthis attacking our ships, so I really don't feel bad for them. Thank you. Yeah, it's like I'm getting I have more subscribers every day than I have unsubs, but every like you know how it is. You watch it tick up, you're watching it tick up, and then it ticks back down. You're like, ah, and every little tick back down is just it's just psychologically annoying. I mean, we're literally all gonna die. Like regardless, it might be all at once. It might be when we're 90. It's inevitable. So it's just part of life. It's transformation. What happens after that? Who knows? Maybe I feel like it's a positive thing. I think it's just like a cycle of life. It's just part of the process. I think something interesting is going to happen. I don't know about crazy. Whose military strategy? Because Sudi, you might be provoking a rant. So I don't know. I don't know. From whose perspective? It's a creative outlet. That's number one. Number two, I get to learn a lot of things, and as I'm learning, I'm actually building something. Number three, it's a lot more fun running your own business than it is working for somebody else. That said, I make far more money by doing independent consulting for startups. Like I just build their financial models. So, but there's something that I mean, money just kind of like the first kind of 20 years of my professional career, I just really had to grind it out and it was pure misery. And again, I'm sounding dark, but for the last 2 years, I've been doing a lot of independent work. I'm doing a ton of different things, but I'm able to, I'm trying to give this channel about 5 years so that I can independently support me and my family. And it's not remotely close to that yet, but it's only been 2 years. But I'm doing a bunch of other things, right? So consulting is probably where I make most of my money. Then I work for a major university, like a business school, as a contractor for one of their programs. But I can do it all from home. I'm trying to think what other random stuff I do, but there's a bunch of different income streams that I have. I work 7 days a week, right? Every single day, there's something for me to do, which is not great for I need to be getting more exercise, and I'm just not. So ideally, the channel takes off, and I'm able to hire some help because there's some stuff that I just shouldn't be that just takes hours and I shouldn't be wasting time on. Like editing audio for any given episode is like it could be take from 4 to 8 hours. And that's just not a good use of time. Right. I could subcontract that to somebody else and then, quickly edit videos and things like that. So and I can make significantly more building financial models for startups. on a per hour basis. It's not even close. So, but we'll get there. Ideally, and then I also do some publishing work. Like I'll interview people for my publisher, which brings in, some amount of money. Not a ton, but some amount of money. I wrote a book last year. I have 3 books out in the marketplace, or 3 traditional publishing books out in the marketplace, these anthologies. But I haven't really made the first one is close to earning out, but I'm not there yet. And typically those things, the advance that I get, I pay the authors to write, so it's kind of like net zero for that. But I just finished writing a novel. I'm just waiting on my publisher to make a decision. I have another opportunity though to work with a less traditional publisher that I might take that, but I have to write 2 more books in order to do that because they like to do a 30-day release strategy. You release the first book in 30 days, then you release the next book for another 30 days, and then the third book. So, but that's the Wormwood Down book that I talked about before. It's been done for a while. I wanted to start writing the next one, but then I got like another like contract, which is great because I'm not going to say how much it was, but for the amount of time I have to do it in, it's very very short period of time, but it's very lucrative if I can get it done in a reasonable time frame. Oops. Oh yeah, like I said, not great right now. I literally got all these episodes done so I could start writing it, and then the new contract came in. So I got to get that contract done, and then I'll try to get to outlining the next novel, and then start writing. You have to understand though, like I actually enjoy the work though. It's the first time in my life where I've actually enjoyed the work. So it's the exercise part that I need to like. It's not good, right? I need to just start building that into my routine, and we'll see. I read, hike. Uh, that's about it. But even when I take vacation, I always take I always go to places that are related to the channel, right? So I went to Sedona last year, but I recorded stuff for the channel in Sedona. Like you see that big, my gigantic infomercial at the end of all my pre-recorded videos that everybody skips as they should. I A lot of those scenes were from Sedona. Same thing. We went to Yellowstone National Park, and I had to pay them like I had to buy a commercial license, which is ridiculous. It's a freaking national park, but you take any footage there and you use it in a commercial basis, and you don't have that contract or you don't have that license, then you're screwed, right? The government can come after you. So, I paid for that. I still haven't used any of the images, even though I should. I just haven't got around to it. But I probably got a little bit too close to one of the bison there. I think before that video where you see a bison like lifting somebody up by its horn or whatever, but I got pretty close. But it left me alone. It didn't do anything. What else do folks? Oh, let's see. Um. Oh, we got an owl, a great horned owl outside right now. Literally, as soon as you asked this question, as soon as I popped up this question, Sooty, there's a great horned owl hooting outside. Yeah. So best and worst parts about being in the military. The people, that's best part. Um, the worst part is not having control, right? You can't really control your schedule. And if you're somebody who's already pretty disciplined, just in terms of like getting things done and staying on track, it can be really stifling for you. Now, if you're somebody who's not very good at that, like, it's perfect. It's perfect for somebody who's disorganized and like gets distracted. Like, it's perfect. There it was again. I really kind of want to go outside for a second and see if I can get some video of this guy. Yeah, in my Lavenda video, one showed up right before our interview, or 12 hours before our interview, just like with there it is again. If there are any cryptid military cases you want me to cover, I'd definitely be interested. All right, let me think about how I want to do this. I know what I can do. Because I don't want people to drop off, but just bear with me here. Okay. There he is again. All right, let's see. Just give me a moment here. I'm just going to, man, I am really slow. And I kind of know exactly where he likes to perch now. Live stream assets. Sorry, I'm talking out loud, but... Okay. All right, so I'm going to go and do that really quickly. All right, he's gone. The guy is gone. Oh well. That's fine, Sooty. You're giving me stuff to say. You're very. It's always welcome when people ask questions. Oops. Yeah, no worries. No worries. Oh man. Yeah, the guy's gone. Al's gone. He probably just heard me open the door and just decided to fly away. Well, Doug, I don't know. It's all for me. It's all like subtle and subjective, right? So there've been like there's precognitive dreams. That's probably the craziest thing that I've had. So if you read my community tab, there's the Mitch McConnell prediction, right? Which was 5 months before he announced he was stepping down. Which I don't. I mean, I just recorded it and then so there's the precognitive thing. There's the animal stuff, right? Like owls showing up at weird times in my backyard, and but again, every single thing taken individually is can statistically be explained away. I may have seen an orb once, but it happened so fast. It was like a second and a half. It was like in April 2022, maybe. There's a whole episode on it. Um, or it's in the episode where I just kind of like, but I don't know what it was. Just kind of like it could have been a spotlight for all I know, but it didn't. It there's just something weird about it, but it happened so fast that it was hard to assume what it was. But nothing like earth shattering has happened to me. I've never seen an honest to god like disc shaped object or tic tac or anything like that, as far as I know. Right, best I can do is light in the sky, like big orange ball in the sky, not at night or at night, not during the day. So, but I don't. Who knows what that was? I mean, so I was assessed as a military intelligence officer, but I was branch detailed into armor. So the way that works is military intelligence doesn't need a lot of, at least in the army, doesn't need a lot of lieutenants, but they need a ton of captains and majors. And so what they do is they just kind of give you to a combat arms branch for 4 years. So I did my 4 years, and then they put me on stop loss because I was on in military intelligence, even though I had zero training with it. So I just stayed in armor for another year and then left. But they made me get like a top secret SCI clearance, with which I did nothing. So that's about the closest I got to any quote unquote dark side. Yeah, thanks for asking, Doug. I appreciate it. I mean, I don't. I mean, it's not like for me. It's just precognitive stuff and like weird animal experiences. Like I can get obscenely close to animals, which just makes no sense. Like deer, bear, like you name it. Um, I don't try, but it just owl. Like again, people in the show have seen the yeah within 5 feet of a great horned owl. Took 1,000 photos, and people have seen these photos a billion times. But that's about and then synchronicities, but everybody has those, I think. But I have them on like crack. Wow, yeah, that's pretty darn special. I've heard, like, I hear two owls all the time, but I've never, I don't think I've ever seen two owls together. So there's an episode I recently did with Steve Mera that I'm interviewing, that I'm editing right now, where we talk about dogmen. I think they're what he calls physical poltergeists. So they're like fear feeders. They'll chase you. Like in the UK, it's a real thing. It's a an actual phenomenon, and they will chase you, and then until you either drop dead of fear or you freeze. In which case, unlike a regular normal predator, they won't devour you. They just kind of lose interest and walk away or run away or whatever. So um, I've never experienced one, never seen one, but they very well might be a real phenomenon. But again, I haven't on the Mothman. I haven't really delved that deeply in it. I haven't read John Keel's book. Uh, Goatmen, never heard of them, but I'm sure there's plenty of literature out there to take a look at. Yeah, that owl is long gone, long gone. Like as soon as I went outside, it flew away. Let's see. Never. Not at least not with my knowledge. Um, and I lived in a pretty remote. I was in the Mojave Desert my whole time, so I was there in the Mojave Desert for. I spent some time at Fort Knox and then the rest of my time in the Mojave Desert. So unless it's like Navy or something like that, but in the Army we didn't. I didn't even know about remote viewing until I read David Morehouse's book. I didn't even know that was a thing. Yeah, I do think they're everywhere. But that one in the desert is particularly significant. I think what Steve Mira told me is that they actually direct people to go to certain places in the desert, like remote areas, when they want to give them or gift them something or whatever. They being the phenomena or whatever it is. Yeah, maybe, but I'm no expert. I have no experience with it. No, I mean, I'm chastened. So do you chastened me? I will do my penance and learn about the goat men. I've heard of chupacabra, but that's about it. Cool. Yeah, I appreciate that. All right. What else do folks want to talk about? No other questions? I mean, it's a terrible thing to say, but I think I get along with animals more than I do with people. I just feel more comfortable around them. And I think they pick that up. And I think as a result, because nobody's really like necessarily paying attention to them. So I think if you pay attention to them, they pay attention to you. Oh, thank you, Courtney. I appreciate that. So I'm reading a bunch of them right now. I think everybody should read Communion by Whitley Strieber. I read that a long time ago. Um, very, very interesting. Above Top Secret by Timothy Good, also well documented. Alien Agenda by Jim Mars is really good. Psychic Warrior by David Morehouse is also fascinating. That got me really fascinated with remote viewing. Right now, I'm reading a bunch of books. So, Sinister Forces, I'm reading the first of Peter Levenda's books. So far, it's been really fascinating. Um I'm reading Operation Trojan Horse, which is by Keel. Also brings a lot of good context. The Day After Roswell, which is by Colonel Corso. I don't read like one book. I read like pieces of them. I'm finishing polishing up Penetration by Ingo Swann. It's another remote viewing book. Um, let's see. Oh, Skinwalkers at the Pentagon. Definitely read that one. That's good. Then there's The Hunt for the Skinwalker by the same two. Well, by Knapp and Colm Kelleher. That's also a good one. But definitely read Skinwalkers at the Pentagon. I'm leaving out like a huge number of them, but I just can't think of them off the top of my head. No, I do not pay my guests. That's just not. Um, won't do it because it's just not. It's not how it's done. Because once you start doing that, you're not going to have any new podcasts coming up because there's no way. And a guest comes on to promote their work, and by promoting them, you benefit from advertising and all that stuff. Um, and the level of work that I put into this, there has to be some sort of financial return. Otherwise, I couldn't justify it given the time, and also with the opportunity cost. Like it's a massive opportunity cost for me because some of the stuff I could be doing, while dreadful and soul crushing, is much more lucrative. This is something that you have to put 5 years of work in to show any sort of tangible return. So, but I do it because I enjoy doing it, and I'd love to be able to make a life doing it, but I'm not there yet. But I do. Like I've given myself about 5 years to try to get there. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, I do not pay guests. Intuitive feeling on animals. I kind of see them as symbols too. Like I don't know. There's something I just more comfortable about. Um, but it's not like they're landing on my shoulders or anything like that. I'm not at that level, but I definitely feel more comfortable. Like I have a ton of bees in my backyard. They never sting me. They fly right by. They're totally peaceful. Um, Dragonflies. We also have hummingbirds, hawks, ravens. Um, we get coyotes at night, but I like coyotes too. Uh, I have never seen a mountain lion out here, but they do live in the area sometimes. There's rattlesnakes, but again, I've never been bit by one. We have California king snakes, raccoons, opossums, all that sort of wild turkeys. I haven't seen wild turkeys in a while though, but you know when they're around because they're really loud. Um, I just other podcasts. Sometimes I'll look at Coast to Coast AM and see what they have, and then I know I would say of like all the people I ask, I probably have a 50% hit rate. Right, where they'll respond and say yes. But sometimes people recommend them, and then I reach out. So it just all depends. I just think people are just nervous in general. Like after the last 4 years have been a complete clown show. So I think it's just related to some of that. Remember, people were absolutely batty about the millennium in like 2000, and they were also absolutely batty about 2012. It's just the usual stuff. No, I get along with flies now too. Um, yeah, yeah. I don't kill flies anymore. I just kind of put out my arm, wait for them to land on my arm, and then I just carry them outside, and then they fly away. After that whole experience with that kind of dark stuff, I just stopped. I appreciate that, Sooty. I really do. I feel like I'm constantly on the treadmill, and I put more and more into each episode. I have to get more efficient, and I'm getting less of. I'm getting more efficient, but I'm doing more with that efficiency, and it's like um, I got to get off the treadmill. But I have like a certain before I start hiring people and doing all that stuff, like I have to make significantly more. Um, I'm talking 50 times what I'm making right now. So before I start hiring people. Um, yeah, yeah, it confuses me too. Huh. Yeah, I had once had a praying mantis in my backyard, but I haven't seen him since. Well, I don't know if I manifest them, but I'll tell you what I do. I just ran an experiment the other day where I had a friend who's on the phone, and I said, what do you want to see? Do you want to see a hawk or do you want to see a raven? So he said raven. I'm like, okay. So I just said, time me. And I just said a prayer to God, like a good Catholic would. And just to the point, like, look, I know you're not my monkey, right? I'm just asking to just see a sign of faith or belief that there's something to this. Um, and if it's your will, show me a raven. So 3 minutes later, a hawk shows up. So like, was it just a coincidence? Could be, right? So um, yeah, I don't know. But I also pay attention, right? Most people don't pay attention, and I think that's probably it's just attention. I mean, and it's not just, but a big part of it is attention bias. People aren't looking up in the sky and looking around and noticing the presence of different animals. So, um, I mean, as an example, at my wedding, there was a moose that photobombed some of the pictures, and it was just outside, and like we didn't notice it until we have the pictures. So you have to be looking around and noticing, and that's part of the thing. Beyond that, I can't say whether or not it's a process of manifestation or not. Right? You just notice when they're there, and try to take advantage of it while you can. Yeah, the other thing you do is also you get one good guest, and then you use that guest as an example of the guests you get, and it's like a snowball effect. So it generally works, but there's some people who will just look at subscribers and they'll be like, not worth my time, which is it's fair. That's fair. Yeah, maybe. I think part of it is attitude too. You just have to Look, if something happens, it happens. What are you gonna do? You know? Yeah, my wife doesn't like having pets, so it is what it is. Although I'm not a big there's this big like orange cat that comes into my yard, and it's got to be the worst possible hunter because you can see it a mile away, and I kind of don't like it coming into my yard because I it threatens the birds. So, but I don't know. I just live and let live, I guess. Yeah, and we also have lizards. I see these lizards every day, but this is the time of year where all the lizards come out anyway. I've been seeing white moths recently too, like almost every day. I don't quite know what that means, but I'm constantly, like just in the last week, constantly seeing white moths. Huh. Yeah, I feel like it's relatively intuitive. You just kind of, I know, I love dogs, but like it would like destroy the house, and my wife and I just don't possess the capacity to adequately care for a puppy right now. It would just be a the last time we had two dogs. I mean, they were like tearing up the house and all that stuff. We're not tiny human, and we have kids too, so tiny humans are kind of similar, only they have opposable thumbs, which makes it a little bit worse. But um yeah. Hmm. Yeah, I kind of like the. I mean, have you seen those Russian bear dogs? Like those just like monsters. But not that I would get one. I'd probably be like a German Shepherd type of. My first dog as a kid was a German, like a black. I think part German Shepherd, part Black Lab or something like that. Um, but no, I think white moths are good. Just look it up. Just do a quick Google search. It's good. It's a good sign. White moths are a very good sign. Um, yeah, we had and my wife and I had part husky, part like golden retriever, and they were like way too much energy. Um, I need a dog that's kind of chill, kind of like a warrior but chill, right? So not high strung. Oh, I'm always behind on my subscriber thing, but kind of roughly. I was supposed to. I think my goal last year was to get to like 10,000, and I didn't make it. I'm still not there, but I was hoping to get there in March, but still not there. I probably won't get there until the end of this month or May, but the next big milestone after that is 100,000, and that just takes a lot. But what happens is, uh, like a video will go viral 9 months after you release it. It's really weird. I had one. John Brandenburg interview. It's almost it's getting close to 100,000 views. It's not quite there yet, but it probably had a few thousand when it first came out, and then it just went viral. So it just all depends. But if I'm not at like half a million, five, if I'm not at 500,000 by 5 years from now, it's time to cut. It's time to move on. Because it wouldn't justify all the time and energy I put in it, or I would like slow down. I mean, and the other thing too is like, um, people are reaching out to me to hire me for a lot more, um, like significantly more than what I do independently, and I'm not super ready to go back to kind of a corporate life. Because I think I'm happier than I've ever been in these last 2 years because I have control over my destiny, even though I'm working all the time. Like, I'm not saying that as like a bad thing. It's because I'm driven to do it. So, we'll see. But again, the universe just dropped a big contract on me in the last week. So that'll help sustain me a little bit further. Oh wow. So most, you know what? I'll look it up. You know what? Actually, that's a good excuse to just show you. Let's see. Let me do this in a way that is more visual. Just bear with me for a second. I just have to get this. Okay. All right. So, most popular. All right. I'm gonna get to this in a second. I'm just gonna race down the remaining questions before I do. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I just know cats, like dogs, don't really kill birds, right? Cats are like bird murderers. Um, these dogs aren't just, they're not fast enough. The cats are a little bit more coordinated when it comes to that sort of thing. Let's see. Uh, Another good question came up, but I got to answer the other question first before. Um, all right, let me see how this looks. All right, so, and then I'm just going to take my picture off the screen so you can see it a little bit better. And then, okay. All right, so, all right, as you can see, this is just lifetime views, right? So, Brandenburg's anti gravity episode is around, actually, it's more than that now because yeah, so it's closing on 94,000. Um, and then we got Bledsoe at around 23,000. And you could see, like, this is all about the thumbnail. He cracked anti gravity, right? This, I think, is just driven by the topic, Bledsoe. Red light demons, right? That kind of got people interested. So you're a little over 14,000. Then you got the Lynn Buchanan apocalyptic episode. And then Stefan Schwartz. So that's number 5. Number 6 is the Ryan Macbeth episode, but that's it's almost like cheating though, because Ryan Macbeth put it on his community tab, so I got like support from his massive channel. It wasn't really me. The next one was another Stefan Schwartz video. This is the one about Itzhak Bentov. This is not an interview. This is just a video I kind of did that summarized Itzhak Bentov's stuff. This is more another Brandenburg episode. And then you have this Daz Smith and Ed Reardon on another remote viewing episode. So I could probably go even further. So beyond that, right, another, right, so you're looking at 4,400-ish. It's another Lynn Buchanan episode. That's a good thumbnail, right? That gets people to click. So that's, and then you could see how long people, the average view duration, what percentage of the video that people will watch. So my issue is getting people to click. That's the number one single issue that I have right now. Once they click, as you can see, they watch for long periods of time. And that includes people clicking and then just jumping away, right? So all right, so going back. All right. I wouldn't compromise my vision, but I would consider covering other topics, that subject matter that is still kind of within the overall umbrella, if A, it was interesting, and B, it didn't blow up my channel. And blow up I mean like people start subscribing. And I run experiments like that, right? Like the Sasquatch experiment did not go well, right? So you have to be really careful about that. Yeah, maybe. Which is that the Itzhak Bentov video, Sooty? Wow. Yeah. Maybe. I mean, military stuff I can do too, because it's, again, but I think that's part of the reason the algorithms is so confused by my channel. Yeah, I like doing that. And by the way, I didn't expect it to do that well. Like those videos generally don't. Usually, people expect to see you interviewing somebody with a podcast. But I could definitely do some more of those. Um, but I also have other ones that I did that were not, where I spent a ton of time and it did not do well. Like there was one where I analyzed the Russian military situation, and um, if you can hear somebody in the background, I think that's my 5-year-old son being a little P in the A. Oh, yeah, maybe. Oh boy. Oh yeah, we've been talking about that a little bit. So I mean, I'll just reiterate this. It's the 120th anniversary of Aleister Crowley receiving the first chapter of the Book of the Law in Cairo. So take that for what you will. Might be creepy. April 8th, 1904. So do what thou wilt, or do what thou wilt. Sorry. But yeah, I don't. I think it's just going to be a normal day. I might try to get some footage of it, but I'm not in the full eclipse zone. Oh yeah, Kazirev's mirror. Interesting. Yeah, I'll have to look into some of that stuff. I just I don't have a lot of time to read either. That's the other thing because there's a lot of good books where a lot of people get their YouTube material from like Wikipedia, but there's a lot more interesting stuff if you actually get the book and read through the book and go through that those particular just the exercise of reading a book. You get more detail. Yeah, I don't think it's as sophisticated as people think. Yeah, I mean, the tech we used in the army was like not super fancy. It was good, but it was just slightly better than the other guy. Like the M1 Abrams tank is a fantastic system, but it was designed in the 1970s. So yeah, that's a good question though. Are there any other areas people would like to see me veer? Yeah, I haven't spent a lot of time with harp either. Um, just haven't I haven't looked into it that much. I mean, I'd still love to formally learn how to remote view, but I don't know. I never heard that before about Dyson. I mean, I know what a Dyson sphere is. It's just like a power system that just harnesses the power of stars. But I never heard that hypothesis before. Hey, Edward. Edward, did you see my Bigfoot T-shirt? Tax Bigfoot, make him pay. That idea came from you. Not that specific idea, but the idea when somebody says something on a particular podcast that you kind of make a T-shirt or a product to leverage that idea because I thought it was just hilarious, so I did it anyway. But anyway, that was inspired by you. I just want everybody to know that, so I appreciate you. Yeah, you can find if you just go to the CIA's like there's a declassified website for the CIA. You can find a bunch of stuff that remote viewers did back in the 80s. It's been declassified. You can actually see their sessions. I mean, once I interviewed Lynn Buchanan on the Bentwaters UFO incident, and I actually found his remote viewing session on the internet, and I used it in the interview. It was pretty cool. Yeah, it was fun. I had fun with it. Right now, like this month and the next, and then the next best time is in August. Otherwise, the tides are not super favorable. So, and the fact that Taiwan just had an earthquake is also pretty weird. What else do folks? want to know, what do folks think of the radio show? Because that's kind of like a joint production. Like I kind of do all the work and I upload it on my site, but it's uploaded on a bunch of other places too that I don't monetize. So, well, it seems like the Chinese aren't mobilized. I mean, we're not hearing any news about it. I think there's the 15th Special Forces group has some soldiers in I think it's Kinmen. It's like an island that's part of Taiwan because Formosa is the main island. But there's an island that's within a mile of Chinese the Chinese mainland where we have a special forces unit training the Taiwanese army. So it's a bit of a tripwire in case the Chinese try to salami slice their way into Taiwan, i.e., just take a little island here, a little island there. I think if they tried that, I think that would provoke the United States. I don't think we would even bat an eye. Maybe. I feel like I probably exhausted all his time, but I could always reach out again. Um, but we'll say I tried his whatchamacallit, the now I'm not remembering it. The the sounds, right? The where you have like one frequency and then another frequency offset by 4 kilohertz or whatever playing in each ear. And it didn't seem to work for me. So I don't know. It just reach and just more content. That's about it. Just reach. Oh, so 30-second summary. The Russians have a 3-to-1 personnel advantage. They probably have a 10-to-1 artillery advantage. Uh, it's just in the end of the day, it's a numbers game. They were able to decouple from U.S. sanctions, basically, secure better supply sources. I'm talking about the Russians. And I think the Ukrainians are running out of men. So you don't hear about it much in the news, so it's probably not going well. I think we probably should have come to the table about 6 months ago and tried to stop the conflict, but they're still fighting, which doesn't make any sense to me given what the potential consequences of continued fighting are. The other thing is a lot of the weapons that we supplied them end up all over the world because the Ukrainian regime is not known for. I mean, the U.S. The U.S. government's corrupt as it is, but these guys are like 10x corrupt. So not all the materials that we send over there are actually making it to the front line. So I think the best policy is to try to broker an agreement to just stabilize the conflict and stop it. But I don't think that's going to happen for quite some time. And I think the longer we wait, the more gains that the Russians are going to make. Um, I think the whole war is a folly on both sides. I think NATO and the U.S., both administrations, kept pushing to the east with NATO when they probably shouldn't have. Um, and that provoked a Russian response. So Putin should not have invaded, but it's understandable why he did. The other thing that concerns me is our bark is much bigger than our bite right now. The Russians have already mobilized their society with manufacturing and all that good stuff. And we're not doing any of that. We're treating it like we make all sorts of threats and things like that, but our industrial base is not what it used to be. And, somebody who knew what they were doing would be ramping up just in case and dramatically expanding our industrial base to prepare for a potential war. And why that scares me that we're not doing that is if Russia decides to call our bluff and we have a setback on the battlefield, it goes nuclear pretty quickly, and vice versa. So yeah, I don't think we have the A team in Washington right now, but that's just my personal opinion. Yeah, binaural beach. That's right. I couldn't remember what it was. Yeah, please do. Like I just wasn't able to make it work for whatever reason. No, I think we would have more wars. I'm just telling you what I think. Um, but yeah, that's all. I'm gonna avoid saying anything more because at the end of the day, women don't fight wars. Um, a small percentage of them do, but it's like the girlfriend who picks a fight for her boyfriend, right? Picks who puts her boyfriend in a situation where he has to fight. So yeah, I wouldn't like for the majority, like for most of human civilization, men have fought all the wars. So having someone who doesn't would never have to. I mean, even today, like my son has to sign up for selective service, but my daughter didn't. Right? That's bullshit. But it's still a thing. So anyway, that's just my point of view. Yeah, yeah. Tax Bigfoot, make him pay. No, I think once Obama killed Osama bin Laden, we should have got out. He should have done just what Bush did with like a mission accomplished and got the hell out of Afghanistan. We were done in Afghanistan in 2011, and then we just, for whatever reason, we stayed way too long. And then when we were ordering people to get out, it was done in the most incompetent way possible by politicians. So, and I think it led directly to Putin assessing that we were weak and the American people wouldn't have the stomach to oppose him going into Ukraine. So I think it also had a chain reaction effect where the credibility of the U.S. military was suffered a huge blow from just a political decision that didn't make any sense. No, nobody wants mutually assured destruction, but um, I have a friend who was advising a general about 3 years ago, before all this stuff happened, and he was talking about this lack of industrial capacity, and the general said, "Well, then that sounds like a tactical problem. So if that came to pass, it sounds like a tactical problem turned strategic, which is just code word for a nuclear war. So some of these guys think you could lob a few missiles and they would de-escalate quickly, but I think once it starts, it's all over. So nobody wants it, but you can easily imagine a scenario where there's missiles in the sky and you don't know if those missiles are nuclear warheads or not. Anyway, I think the sooner that we end this conflict, the safer it is for everybody. Oh yeah, it's this channel, but it's also on other channels. But there's no point in me telling you the other channels because you know it helps me if you watch it on this channel. So just stay on this channel and you'll be fine. You can watch it that way. But there's other YouTube channels that also get the stream, um, and like they monetize it separately, and that's fine. It's like shared copyright sort of for Through a Glass Darkly Radio. Um, but other people who would not otherwise be on this channel, and then I have in the details I have links to my channel. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. I mean, they did I think work with his faction during the Afghan war. I don't know if they worked with him directly. but he was a member of the Bin Laden construction family, basically. Oof. Attack nuke in Ukraine would probably trigger a broader nuclear conflict. Like if they used a tactical nuke on the battlefield, um, if they used a tactical nuke on the battlefield against a U.S. formation, instant like that would cause nuclear war. Um, look, I don't think it's likely, but you don't want people with fingers on triggers, nervously like wondering what the other guy's going to do. So the attack would probably uh would be on major command and control centers as well as uh, you know a lot of the missile fields, right? So Kansas, Iowa, Colorado. There's like a Four Corners type area there where there's a lot of missile fields. Um, that would be kind of a big target. Pine Gap in Australia would probably be a big target. So anything that helps NORAD and Cheyenne Mountain, uh, major subpens like Bremerton in Washington State might be a target. New London, Connecticut, I think. There's a New London. Yeah, I can't remember, but there's a bunch of sub bases up there. You know, those sorts of things. And then, major power centers. So, like Washington, D.C., Moscow, all that sort of stuff. And then, maybe you have your population centers after that. But they would be focused mainly on defeating the other, like, the other side's nuclear assets to prevent a counterstrike. Yeah, yeah. As much more real back then than it is now. Oh man, I'm not touching that. I'm not. I'm not touching that. But yeah, I do have a type though, for sure. Yeah, Montana. Yeah, Malmstrom. Malmstrom would be a target, for sure. Well, I think Pine Gap is like has some like satellite communications function, right? They're something related to that. I don't know much more than, but I haven't researched it. I haven't looked into it at all. So it's just a guess. um, I mean, it's going to be on the left. It's going to be Trump, Orange Man bad, Trump, Orange Man bad, Trump, Orange Man bad. On the right, it's going to be Biden, dementia, dementia, dementia. That's basically. I don't think they're going to get any more sophisticated than that. Um, but look, I can't. We got 15 million immigrants flooding into the country. We got squatters living and taking over people's homes. Uh, we have record and not record, but we have high inflation. Um, Crime is pretty rampant. Like internationally, the Afghanistan was an absolute disaster. Like the withdrawal from that, we're not doing well in the Russia, the Russia Ukraine conflict. We're spending a ton of money and not really getting that far. Disclosure has been a disaster, right? Um, Israel's making it really hard for the Biden administration to kind of, continue supporting it. Not that I disagree. Well, I'm not. I'm going to try not to take a position in Israel, but like, I'm sorry. I'm not. You can't convince me to be on the same side as Hamas. It's just not going to be possible. Like, I think if somebody did what Hamas did to Israeli civilians in the United States, like the last time that happened, we killed 4.7 million people. So take that for what it's worth. But again, you shouldn't kill innocent women and children, and you do your best not to do that. And the Israelis aren't as sophisticated. They don't have the same. They have some sophisticated weaponry, but not like the United States. So it's hard to judge them on the same standard. But it's ugly and it's brutal. But what do you do? I'm not touching it. Oh yeah, yep, yeah. My yeah. I don't want to say too much about my son, but he starts college next year, and then I have an older daughter who, like, we started early. Like, um we had our first kid right after 9/11 happened, for obvious reasons. Like, my wife was, I was in the military, so it's like, might not survive. So, she made the decision accidentally on purpose to have a kid. So we started really early. I think you're mostly right. Um, I mean, I saw some of it when I was in graduate school. Like, I got to meet a UN Secretary General before he became a UN Secretary General. Like, stuff like that. There's definitely lots of like socialized, um, setting people up, to be in certain spots and stuff like that. Yeah. And again, I'm not taking any position on Trump here, but that's effectively what Trump is, right? He's somebody that the elites do not like, and in some cases for good reason, right? He doesn't. There's been an established order since 1945, and he's a wild card. So people in the permanent bureaucracy don't like that, and a lot of the stuff that you're seeing that's happening to him. Um, Look, I don't personally like him. I personally don't like Biden either. Uh, but you know, there's just stuff that's just like what's happening in New York. Like, companies are terrified to operate in New York now because of that. That case where they had some absurd thing on him. It's just like you have a tax basis and then you have a market price on your house, and generally the municipality sets what your tax basis is, and you set for whatever you can get for your market price. And he had the market price was a lot higher than his tax basis, and that's what everybody does. Like, that's completely normal. He's just the only person who's been prosecuted for it. So, there's the system will engage in organ rejection, right? I mean, you've all seen this P Diddy stuff. I mean, that's like a straight up like Epstein like intelligence operation right there. Like, it's like compromat. So yeah, but I agree a little bit. Yeah, they both piss me off, but yeah, I'm not. I'm gonna try. I'm trying to stay neutral here. Yeah, I can look into it, but a lot of it's just it's not that hard. I don't think it's that hard to do, right? Um, I mean, I know with the stealth stuff, it's It's like a titanium or I forget what it's called. It's some sort of like paint that absorbs radiation. Yeah, I know. I know. But I'm still getting old. I'm still looking old. That's because I'm not getting any exercise. So I gotta fix that. Yeah, it's bad. But there's a book by Strauss and somebody else. I forget what it's called, but it talks about like four generational cycles, right? There's like the first, second, third, and fourth turning. And we're in the fourth turning. We've been in the fourth turning for a while, and that's the destructive phase. So a lot of these systems are, I mean, I think you're starting to see it. A lot of these systems don't work, and they're starting to break down right now. And that's just kind of the nature of reality. So my generation, which is Generation X, we're supposed to be the generation that leads uh, people out of this phase. And then the next generation, millennials, I think are supposed to be the ones that rise in the next phase. But we'll see. It's an interesting book. I can't remember what it's called, but if you just look up fourth turning, it'll pop up on Wikipedia and you'll see the name of the book. Yeah, I mean, I can look into it, but even that, it can get people into trouble by talking about classified stuff. I mean, if you can imagine it, they can probably make it, right? Like I've heard the Russians are now using unmanned ground vehicles in Ukraine. So basically, like killer robots. Huh. Yeah, we'll see. But the thing is, for the system to break, it get that kind of thing's never easy. It's never easy. But it's all being exposed. Every single bit of it's being exposed right now. Um, but just the sheer level of incompetence that I think we're all witnessing is really disheartening. I would love to get Tim Burchett on this podcast, but he seems to be like the only guy in Congress that tells the truth about anything. Let's see. I follow him sometimes. Like I get along with Ed Reardon pretty well. We kind of get each other. I don't know why, but we kind of get each other. So I don't follow them constantly, but I definitely watch some of their stuff because they're generally pretty accurate. Like he saw gain of function before we even knew about COVID, except he called it game of function. But you know, it's close enough. But like Skynet, yeah, I mean, that's what they're trying to drive us all into. Is this 15-minute cities? You will own nothing and you will love it. You will eat the bugs, like that sort of Klaus Schwab nonsense. So yeah, he is real. He's just a good, solid dude. I mean, I feel like if I like just showed up in Austin and like emailed him, he would come and like meet me for a beer. Like he's that kind of guy. He's just I really like that. I really like that dude. He's a good Irishman. That's probably why I like him. Oh, you missed the whole first part. So just who do we have? I still have more Aaron. Alan Greenfield episodes, or one more. James Clarkson has another one. Peter Lavenda, I have 2 coming up. I just recorded 2 with Paul Blake. Why am I not remember his last name? Paul Blake Smith, who did a bunch of research on Eisenhower and the Cape Girardeau UFO crash. And then I'm meeting with a former, like, a guy who worked in mental health, saw people's schizophrenia. He would interview them, and it turns out he doesn't think it's like a psychological thing. He actually thinks they're actually just discrete entities that are messing with them, like the voices that they hear. So that's Jerry Mazursky. I haven't interviewed him yet, but I have it on the calendar. I'm doing another one with Nathan Nathaniel. Why am I blanking? I don't know. But he's been on a lot. Then on the radio show, I have another Don Ecker one coming up, Grant Cameron coming up, another Josh Cutchin, and then I'm missing one. Dr. Paul Thigpen. So he's going to be on again. That's it right now. Oh, yeah. 2 more on Steve Mera. Thank you. And Nathaniel Gillis. Yeah, I don't know why I was blanking on both of them. But yeah, those ones are going to be good too. So they're not in the bag yet, but the interviews are done. I just have to edit, and then I should be good to go pretty quickly. And there's people that I keep reaching out to, right? So, actually, let me just pull up my list. I actually have a list. I keep reaching out to Mario Woods, and he responds, and then he doesn't respond. So it's kind of on me to keep, harassing's not the right word, but that's kind of the word I'm thinking of. Let me just look at my list. Come on, where is this thing? Okay, enable. Okay. Where is this? Okay, guest analytics. Sorry, I'm just trying to find this thing. All right, here we go. All right, so some of the people that I still have to reach out to, or that are on my kind of list. I'd love to get Dr. Richard Gallagher, but I have no idea how to contact him. Congressman Burchett, I think, would be awesome. Diana Walsh Pasolka, I've reached out to her like 70 times. I never get a response. Tim Gallaudet, Admiral Gallaudet, I just have to reach out. I just haven't had a chance yet. Beatrice Villarreal, I'm supposed to reach out back to her. She couldn't do it recently, but she has done a bunch of research on transients, which are these stars that were in the plates before there were satellites, and they're no longer there. So were they really stars? Gary Nolan, I need to reach out again. I haven't heard from him. I reached out to someone who worked for Denny Sheehan, and I was declined. So I think if I was somehow able to talk to Denny Sheehan personally, I might have better luck. Let's see. I've never reached out to Avi Loeb, but that might be a good one. I have to reach back out to Sarfati. Once he agreed, but he didn't show up, and I think he just forgot. So I have to reschedule that at some point. I'm not sure how to. I'm not sure how that would go. 'cause he's pretty feisty. I think it would be a fun interview, but let's see. Yeah, I think I may have written his name down, but for some reason I couldn't find him or something. Oh no, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, I can look into him. Duncan Trussell was somebody I've been trying to reach out to, but no response. Um, Salvador Pais responded to me, but he declined. He said his leadership doesn't want him to do podcasts anymore or something. I don't know. Richard Dolan, I just need to reach out to him again, but I'm probably still too long or too small. Uh, Louis Elizondo, I doubt he would. Again, too small. Chris Mellon, I doubt he would do it. Ross Coulthart, I've reached out before, no response. Jeffrey Mishlove, I think would be probably pretty good. Rick Doty would be pretty good. Mario Woods, I've been doing back and forth, as I mentioned earlier. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, I still have a bunch of names, but I'm not sure how likely they might be. Andrew Bustamante, I'd love to talk to, but he hasn't. I have his email, but he didn't respond. Um, Duncan Trussell, again, I reached out, no response. Yeah, that's kind of. There are a bunch of other names too, but Dean Radin, he always pushes it off. He asked if he could do it again in the spring. So I reached out again in spring, and he told me to reach out again in May. So yeah, so those are all potential guests. Let's see. Yeah, yeah, Sarfati. Yeah, you just can't go in there. You just can't go in there like um. You can't be a pushover. You gotta hold your ground on some things. On physics, you just roll over because he knows his physics. But he starts talking about geopolitics. Huh. Okay. Yeah, I could definitely check those folks out. Yeah, is there anything else that I should do to improve the quality of the channel? Do folks think? Because I have some control over which guests come on the show, but not 100% control. Sometimes people just don't respond. Is there anything I can do to improve the quality? Because I think my biggest problem is just getting people to click. I think once they click, they'll watch. But I appreciate you, Tessa. All right, let's see how we're doing on time. Say we give it 6 more minutes, and if people have no more questions, I can just call it a night. Um, yeah, I've been on, a little over 2 hours. I think that's fair. I have done that before a little bit. I frequently with Cosmic Road. Jack and I will do some collabs from time to time. Um, th- thanks, Ed. It just it just takes so long for this thing, and then I see other channels that just start later and then surpass it sooner. Like that I mean, that's the thing that gets to me, right? That like that part really gets to me. Um, but it is what it is. Thank you, Sooty. I appreciate you. I don't know if you all can hear my son in the background. Guys, like he's constantly like he's a pretty aggressive kid. He's like 5 years old and he's like super aggressive. Um, like if he were an adult and he did the same sort of stuff he does in school, like it would be a disaster, right? It would be like there would be a protest on a highway and he'd be the guy who would like deliberately run down the protesters with his automobile. Um, 'Cause he's done that with a bicycle. Let's just say. Yeah, but it might also there might be something I'm doing that the YouTube censors don't like, so I have to be careful. Uh, and sometimes I'll let like a rant get a little bit too. I try to be neutral as much as possible, but I know I'm not neutral. Like I know it's obvious to people I'm not neutral, but I'm trying my best. Um, but it's hard not to. I try very hard not to talk about political stuff. Um, but yeah, and I'm not going to. All right, we got 3 more minutes. Going once, going twice. Although you can still say stuff and I'll still post it because I like to play some of that music. By the way, I don't think I ever thanked Moon Man. I definitely talked about his thing, but again, thank you, Moon Man. I didn't thank you, so that's pretty dumb. So thank you, I appreciate you. Uh, Sorry, I just had to make that right. I didn't, and Moon Man didn't say anything. I'm just, yeah. Well, I mean, you guys could have been a little bit craftier in terms of asking certain questions, right? Because I mean, I am married, so you could have asked in a certain way to know the answer to that question. Because I did marry into my preference. I'm just, I'm just saying. I am. I definitely. I got lucky. Like I'm a cranky sob, and she likes to spend the money that I made. So it kind of and that and like the I'm very organized and she's not. I'll just leave it at that. So those are the two worst things. Everything else, I mean, so we've been married for last year we celebrated 25 years. So like she put up with my crap for a very long time. So she's clearly a keeper. Edward Edward figured it out. So I'm going to answer your question with a question. There you go. There's the answer. Yeah, she's smart. like it's I work like a dog and she raises the kids. That's kind of the breakdown. Yeah, I appreciate you. Thank you. All right, one more minute. One more minute, because I'm probably boring some people. So. All right, everyone. God bless. Good night, and I'll see you on Sunday night with my with Don Ecker again. So that should be fun. So I appreciate you and see y'all soon.
Breaking news.